What is going on, everyone? Coming at you with another episode of Outworker. And this is a fun one again because every once in a while I love to do these. This is a solo episode, just me hopping on here and being able to use this medium and use this platform for me to share more of my own stories, my own experiences, and use my voice for myself. I love interviewing people, I love connecting with people on this podcast, but it's also so fulfilling for me to be able to just hold this space for myself and be able to talk with myself, but then also share stories that I have. And for this episode, I'm going to be diving deeper into my relationship with the mind body connection and something that I'm really proud of, which has started a few years back, but is now really just within the last few months has really developed. I've really developed myself as being this person who understands the mind body connection within my own personal experiences, but then also working with other people. And that has stemmed from my experience of healing from my chronic back pain. Like for me, chronic back pain and healing from herniated discs was synonymous with mind body connection. Like that is just how I knew it. It was like, oh, like I was dealing with really bad chronic pain in my back, and this mind body work and this mind body connection is what helped me heal. And I really hadn't experienced it in other ways, or I really didn't know about it in other ways. I was like, I know about it when it comes to my back. That has changed now. There have been other physical, I don't know if you would call them ailments or just different instances where I've been challenged physically, nothing even close to as bad as the pain that I was feeling with my herniated discs and my back pain. Nothing even close to that. But two instances, and one of them pretty recently, where I experienced my body feeling something and going through something. And not because there was necessarily something wrong with my body or something physically had happened, but it was a physical manifestation. It was a message. The first one was actually it went on for a good amount of time, and it was something that was very stressful and very tough to deal with. Like I said, not as bad as my back, but it was annoying. So at the end of October, this is actually something that I made a previous solo episode on. I had gone to a retreat in Austin, Texas, and a component of that retreat was doing breath work. And that was the first time I'd ever done breath work, and it just like completely unlocked something within me. Like I absolutely loved it. The way that I felt during it, but then even more importantly, and especially afterwards, the feeling of presence and calmness and the quietness of my mind, which was the biggest thing. I was like, wow, this is something that I love to do, and definitely something that I'm going to continue to do, especially because it was like, this can take 5 to 10 minutes out of my day. Like that's all it takes. Like what I would do for my breath work once I got into the routine, there was this guided breath work that I would do that was 8 minutes long. And then I would just do a 10 to 15 minute meditation. And it was beautiful. I would do it in the middle of the afternoon. So it was a good breakup between, morning and night, where almost like a time to recenter myself. And I absolutely loved it. And there'd be some times where I did it right before I'd go to the gym, and I love that even more, where it was just like such a different experience working out, where it just felt like I was in total peace and it was beautiful. And I was like, like I said, I'm going to do this every single day now, especially because it doesn't take that long. And that's what I was doing. I had gotten into that routine and was seeing real benefits. And there was one session that I was doing about 2 or 3 weeks afterwards where I was breathing and I felt like some tightness in my chest. Like, didn't think much of it. And then, like, right at the end, like where my chest meets the top of my abdomen, where, like, I would say, like, it was my diaphragm, like, completely just locked up on me and, like, very hard to breathe. And I'm not saying, like, hard to breathe from the standpoint of, like, oh, I literally can't breathe, or, you know, struggling to breathe, but it was just very, very hard to take a deep breath, and very, very uncomfortable and really bad shortness of breath. And obviously uncomfortable in the moment, but obviously, like, I've learned, you know, don't worry about it, or don't, blow things out of proportion, or just, like, allow yourself to kind of stay calm, which I was able to do. But I was like, wow, this is really, really uncomfortable. And it, like I said, very, very hard to breathe. And this had actually, like, kind of similarly had happened to me my freshman year of college, not from breath work, but there was just, like, a moment where, like, I just had this shortness of breath, and that went on for a couple months as well. And what helped me, or what I thought it helped me, was like, okay, I'm just going to start taking Advil and it'll go away. And that's what I started to do. Started taking Advil, wasn't helping, really bad shortness of breath throughout the entire day. Just, like, was not able to take a deep breath. My ribs would feel so sore. And it got to the point where I was like, all right, I guess I have to go to my doctor about this. And explained everything that was happening. And I said it started after doing breath work. And he was like, I've really never heard of that. That's kind of weird. But he's like, I think we should put you on a steroid pack. And because you might have some inflamed cartilage, or, in your chest. You might have this thing called costochondritis. And costochondritis is something that I had heard of, because that's what I got diagnosed with my freshman year of college when I was dealing with the same stuff. And I was like, okay, like, just need to get this inflammation down. So already, and I wasn't in mind body mode, because, like I said, I only knew mind body connection, and I only experienced it with back pain, herniated discs. So with this, I'm like, okay, conventional treatment plan. Let's start taking a steroid pack. And it just goes to the idea that I'm a person who knows about the mind body connection. I know about how my mind can play into my physical well being and feeling things physically. And I've been deep into this work, but still, like, it's so easy to jump back to, okay, there's something physical here, or something physically is wrong within my body that needs to be fixed. So imagine, like, when you don't know about the mind body connection at all, and you don't know about this work, how you can just stay within that loop and within that cycle for so long. And so started taking a steroid pack. Yeah, it wasn't helping at all. Still, like, real trouble breathing. When I would work out, it would be really, really tough. So I got to the point again of, like, okay, I'm going to stop working out again. And the thing that did help me, though, was the mindset. Because, like I said, this wasn't as bad as everything that I was dealing with my back. But like I've talked about before, I was like, okay, that was a really crappy experience of what you dealt with your back, but it turned into such a gift and to such a powerful experience. And so how can I not bring that same approach to everything that I'm dealing with now, with not being able to breathe easily and feeling this discomfort? How could I not bring that same approach in the moment now before I even get rid of this? And that's exactly what I did. And that's the approach that I took, where I'm like, okay, this can be a very beneficial experience for you. And how I framed it as well, because what I learned with breath work and what I was taught with breath work is like, okay, you're learning the power of your breath. And that's what I told myself by not being able to breathe easily and as I normally would. I'm like, you're learning the appreciation of your breath. You're learning the power of your breath by doing this. And that's how you have to see things. Like, I gained a much greater appreciation for my breath and the power of the breath by not being able to feel the power of it. Like, I had a lack of power. I felt weak. I felt incapable of feeling the highs of the power. But I knew, I was like, okay, like if you feel these lows, that will give you the same experience, because once you get out of this, then you will feel the power. And you won't even have to go as high. Just getting back into your natural state of breathing will allow you to feel the power of your breath. And I wouldn't have been able to have that type of mindset if it wasn't for everything that I dealt with my back. But like I said, I had that same mindset, but I went back into the conventional approach. So I was like, okay, this steroid pack isn't helping for me. I was like, okay, we need to get an x-ray then. So I got an x-ray. There was some like shadowing on it, and they thought I had pneumonia. So I got prescribed antibiotics for pneumonia that I started taking. My doctors were like, yeah, pneumonia's going around. So, I mean, this could make sense. I'm like, I don't feel sick. Like, I'm completely fine. But that's like what the reading showed. And I was like, all right, that didn't help at all. I was like, yeah, probably because I don't have pneumonia. Then I got another x-ray to see if anything had improved. Or before I even, this is a crucial part of the story actually. Before I got the second x-ray, I had potentially thought that maybe I had a hernia. There was potentially a surgery needed for this. And this is getting into the exact same mindset of just like, okay, we're taking out back pain and we're just going to swap in this other thing. And I'm like, so when you start thinking about surgeries, taking more pills, no matter what the thing is, that will exacerbate whatever it is you're feeling. Like, that will exacerbate the feelings of not being able to breathe easily. And something else that manifested because of this, when I started getting into the mindset of I have a hernia, and it was also, I didn't believe that I did. I never truly thought I did, but I had people in my ear telling me and potentially saying, hey, this might be what you're actually dealing with. And this might be a different route that we have to take. And deep down, I truly believe that like that wasn't what I was dealing with. But when you get that into your head, it's tough not to wrestle with it. And something that had happened, I was in the shower one morning, and I got out and was just incredibly lightheaded. And I was like, I am going to faint. Like, I'm very, very close to fainting. Like, this has never happened to me in my entire life. I've never fainted in my entire life. Never had an experience where I felt like I was even close to fainting. But I was like, I am very, very lightheaded. Got very, very cold. Very, very pale. What did help me though, and this got into the mind body approach, because I didn't faint, I was able to stay conscious and stay calm, because I knew, I was like, all right, don't go into fight or flight mode. Don't be reactionary here. allow yourself to feel these feelings. Allow yourself to literally feel this physical state of, all right, allow yourself just to feel cold. Allow yourself to kind of feel a little bit wobbly, because then you can find your equilibrium in that. It's not until you become reactionary and like, oh my God, like I shouldn't be thinking like this, then that's just gasoline on the fire. So thankfully that passed very quickly. And then, like I said, got another x-ray. Yeah, and nothing is wrong here. Then I got a CAT scan because they were like, okay, we might need to get a, deeper image. And they were like, nothing's wrong here. Like, we don't see anything. I'm like, what is going on? And, my doctor's like, yeah, like, this is really weird. He's like, obviously nothing is wrong with you. You're obviously kind of just dealing with something. Just, because it got at the point where it was like my doctor like really couldn't do anything else for me. So just like, monitor it. Um, and so it eventually kind of just went away. But it was also because I was like, it was at the end of the year and was getting like a little bit better. And what was funny, like I wasn't lifting weights, but the thing that had helped me was like running. For some reason, running and doing cardio allowed me to get into a rhythm with my breathing. And then afterwards, I would stop and be like, oh, wow, like it feels like I can get deep breaths again and get into a normal routine of breathing again. And it was on the last day of the year, and I hadn't worked out since Thanksgiving. So hadn't worked out for like 6 or 7 weeks. And I'm like, I just got to go to the gym. Like, I got to get a freaking workout in, especially before the end of the year. And it felt really, really good. And I was like, oh man, like I feel like I'm like getting a lot better actually, but still hadn't put the mind body into the equation yet. But I was like, yeah, like I think I'm like getting really, really better. And it kind of just naturally subsided. I'm like, yeah, I'm not dealing with it anymore. And that's kind of what happened my freshman year as well. Because like my parents would ask me like, so like how did you get better your freshman year? I was like, I don't like, it just kind of naturally subsided where I just woke up one morning or just at some moment it was like, oh yeah, I'm not dealing with this anymore, or it's gone. And it was the exact same thing again, you know, 5 to 6 years later, dealing with the same stuff, and it just naturally subsided. And then started getting back into working out, normal routine. I'm like, boom, great. This is done. This is behind me. And then I was like, I shouldn't be doing breath work to be safe. And I gave it a good amount of time. And this was also right around the time when I was going to move to Austin, Texas. And I actually pushed my move back because I was like, all right, like start of the year, I want to be in Austin, Texas. And then all this comes up and I'm like, man, like I'm not going to move halfway across the country when I'm like dealing with stuff. Like I want to be like, feel like I am fully ready, fully healthy, fully confident to be able to make this move. So I pushed it back. And then I get better. And obviously my first thought when I get better, which was like end of December, early January, like, all right, like I'm moving to Texas. So started the entire process of moving to Texas, of finding an apartment, all that stuff. And the entire apartment process, that could be an entire podcast episode in itself. But it was just such a stressful process with so many different problems that happened on top of all the stress of just doing a move in general, especially, you know, this big of a move where it feels like, wow, like this is a real life change. Like I'm making a big change here. And so yeah, there would be times where I'm like, I'm feeling the weight of this. I'm feeling the stress of this. And like I said at the start, what breath work would help me with was being present, staying calm, quieting your mind after a very stressful, chaotic day of dealing with all moving stuff, I was like, I got to do a breathwork session. I was like, I'll keep it really light, keep it really gentle, but like, I really need to do a breathwork session because it's going to help me. And I did it very light and not as bad or not as like sudden, but like kind of like in the moment, but then especially afterwards, I was like, that didn't feel good. Or like, it feels like I shouldn't have done that. But I was like, it is what it is, whatever. And then I got up the next morning or a couple days after, and I'm like, man, I'm feeling all this stuff again. Like, why is this coming back? And I got back into the mindset of like, or I got into the mindset of like, all right, my body is just not built for breath work. I guess I just can't be doing this stuff. Like, I love it, but it's, you know, it's having ramifications or it's having, negative effects on me and my body. But I had already started the process of moving or, getting an apartment lined up and flights and all this stuff where I'm like, well, I'm dealing with this stuff again, but I'm still moving. And so many different factors playing into this now. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I shouldn't be working out again. And working out helps me with stress. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, like, the last couple of weeks before I moved to Austin, Texas, honestly, I was just a freaking mess and a freaking head case. I knew the one thing though was like I knew I stayed grounded. I was like, no, like you need to be doing this. Like this is the exact move that you want to be doing and that you need to be doing, and you know that when you do get there, you're going to be so happy that you did it. But throughout the entire moving process and that first week that I was here, I was like, man, like I'm still dealing with a lot of tightness. Thankfully, this time around, my breathing wasn't affected at all, but just super tight throughout my chest and throughout my back. But still hadn't put the mind body approach to it or wasn't thinking in those terms. Was still thinking of like, what is wrong with my body? Like, what is happening here? Because, like I said, I had only known about this stuff or I'd only experienced it up until this point with my back and pain, but not other physical manifestations, whether it's with tension and tightness or with breathing. And the way that I finally came around to understanding and appreciating and feeling like this is a mind body thing. There's nothing wrong with your body, but this is just something that's physically going on within your body from a mind body perspective. Is I went on ChatGPT and I was like, these are all the things that I'm dealing with. These are the things that haven't helped me. Like, what should I be doing or what am I doing wrong? I had used ChatGPT before, so it already had a history of knowing who I am as a person and knowing all of my background work with mind body connection and all that good stuff. And it practically said right at the start, like, you of all people should know that this is a mind body thing, dude. It was like, you are not dealing with a physical problem in your body. This is a manifestation. This is a physical manifestation from your mind. And I'm like, man, it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cause then I started like adding more stuff of like, yeah, I don't feel any pain when I work out. And sometimes it feels good after I run. And ChatGPT was like, yeah, like if you were dealing with a physical problem, those things would not feel good for you. And within a day, when I was applying the mind body approach and the mind body work that had helped me with my back, when I applied it to this, my chest and my back relaxed. They weren't tense or tight anymore. And I was like, wow, mind-body connection. I was like, this stuff is truly, truly powerful. And now for me, like at the start, it was about understanding the relationship between mind and body. And now as I've gotten older and I've learned more and I've put more of this stuff into practice, now it's more so of like the relationship between me and the mind-body connection. Because I'm like, wow, this isn't just my back. I'm feeling this in other parts of my body, which is a cool feeling. Like I said, I'm happy that I went through this and I'm happy that I experienced this because I'm like, wow, like I had another mind body intervention. I'm also having the thought literally right now, I was like, imagine if I didn't know about the mind body approach. I could still be struggling with my breathing to this day right now. And it's just so powerful that I was able to, okay, have the conscious awareness now of this is a mind body thing. And within a day, be like, this isn't a problem anymore. I've returned to my natural state. I'm still not doing breath work. I'm still very, very cautious. I haven't done it since. And who knows if I'll get to a point where I do it again, but I'm like, it's just not worth it. Because I guess I have the thought in the back of my mind that if my breathing does get out of whack, I know it's just my mind and my body being reactionary rather than actually something being wrong. And I guess that would be an interesting experiment, but that's something that I'm not trying to do anytime soon because I'm not trying to knowingly put myself into a uncomfortable state like that, especially when it comes to breathing. So yeah, that was the first week of February that finally got resolved after those two instances. And then the second mind body experience that I had was just very, very recently. And it was in a different part of my body where my jaw tightened up very, very quickly, like just out of nowhere. And I was like, where is this coming from? Like, what the heck is this? Like, this does not feel good. I would feel it in my jaw up into my ear, was also feeling it down into my neck. And my neck was getting very, very tense. This time around, though, I knew pretty quickly. I was like, this is a mind body thing. I was like, nothing's wrong with me. Like, where would this have just popped up out of nowhere? Like, it's not like I did anything in the moment where I was like, oh, this is why my jaw just locked up. Like, just out of nowhere, I was just sitting on the couch and this happened. The annoying thing about it, though, or what was different about it compared to understanding with my chest and my breathing with the mind body connection, is like I said, with that one, when I understood it was the mind body connection within a day, I was able to get back to my normal state. But with my jaw, and the reason why I knew this was a mind body thing as well, and this has to go with people want to understand, like, okay, how did he know this was a mind body thing so quickly? Or how can I see within my own life if I'm dealing with stuff like this? I had went through a couple weeks back, like a big change in my life that didn't know was coming. And things like that, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, just big changes can cause physiological changes within you. And I knew, I was like, okay, it's not a coincidence. Never dealt with a jaw problem in my entire life. Not a coincidence that this thing happens 2 weeks ago and now I'm feeling this for the first time ever. That's not a coincidence. This is a mind body thing. So I knew that very, very quickly. But I wasn't able to get rid of those symptoms or those annoying feelings with my jaw within a day. Like, it wasn't until just a few days ago where it subsided. And I think one of the reasons why it didn't subside is because I was still being very reactionary of like, man, it's annoying. This is really, really freaking annoying. Even though I knew it was a mind body thing, just like, this tightness is uncomfortable. And I was not going into full fight or flight mode, but like I said, I was being reactionary and I was kind of fighting against it, and I was getting annoyed. I wasn't allowing it just to exist. I wasn't allowing myself just to feel it. But this is also one of the benefits that I've experienced with this mind body work, because when it was with my entire experience with my chronic back pain and going through that entire journey, I was incapable of being in the moment. I was always just focused on my pain, just feeling like I was elsewhere, thinking about different things, was never able to just like be present. When it came to my jaw this time around, though, it's almost like the pain and the sensations had an opposite effect where it allowed me, but also forced me to be present and to stay grounded. And that is such a remarkable thing and something that I'm so proud of, to be able to say, like, the very same thing a few years ago was getting me all out of sorts. And now that same thing is actually keeping me grounded and staying present. And when you're able to be in tune with your mind and your body like that on a very, very deep level, and that takes a little bit of time. Like I said, it's about 4.5 years that I'm talking here between it totally making me crumble to now, oh, this is actually keeping me grounded and staying present. Like, it takes time. But that's where the gift of these types of things can come into play. When you're in tune with your mind and your body like that, and you're able to feel these sensations and these physical manifestations and understand them for what they truly are. Because I could be of the mindset right now, or this could have come up and I'm like, okay, I have to go to a jaw doctor, or I need to get another x-ray. And that just totally gets your mind racing and gets you further into this narrative and perception of, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. And when you get into that mindset of there's something wrong with me, that will exacerbate those sensations that you're feeling, and it will continue, because that's exactly what your mind wants. When you think there's something wrong with you, it becomes that much easier for those things to stay and for those things to become your natural state. But I knew, I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. And I was like, ooh, he knows deep down there's nothing wrong with him. And so it took a little bit of time, but it finally was like, oh wow, those feelings and those sensations in my jaw and my neck have been able to pass. And so yeah, it's been a special experience, like I've said throughout this entire episode, just being able to have a continued relationship with the mind-body connection, where I haven't just experienced it within my back now, but in other parts of my body. And I'll probably, as time goes on, I will continue to have moments like this. But when I look at it from the vantage point of, okay, these can be beautiful moments, and these feelings can be things that can really help me, it just totally reframes how you deal with your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. When you see the problems, or when you see the things that people want to tell you are problems as things that will guide you instead, you just become so powerful. And I'm not saying that in a egotistical type of way. Internal power. Like, feeling that, like, I feel so internally powerful. Like, when this thing with my jaw subsided, I'm like, I am freaking powerful. And everyone can feel like that, because that's what I tell people. I'm like, you have been handed a gift here, because it's the keys or the stepping stones for, like, okay, here, take this, feel this, because this is how you can feel powerful. And then that power just exudes into all other areas of your life. Always fun doing one of these solo episodes, sharing more of my personal experiences, because it's always great to connect with other people, but then it's also great to bring it back home and be able to just connect further with myself and use my voice for myself. So until next time, keep out working.